But first, the diplomatic tit-for-tat is escalating today as India has now expelled a top Canadian diplomat just hours after Ottawa told the top Indian intelligence official in our country to get out. Nijjar's son is speaking out today, saying it was just a matter of time before the truth about his father's death emerged, and the World Sikh Organization of Canada says it's shocked by the death as relations between India and Canada continue to spiral downward.
The things that is so important today is that India and the government of India takes seriously this matter. It is extremely serious, and it has far-reaching consequences in international law and otherwise.
Saying the investigation will follow the evidence, the Prime Minister says those responsible for the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar will be held accountable.
We are not looking to provoke or escalate. We are simply laying out the facts as we understand them.
This is a time where we have to do two things. One, let the legal process continue as it must, and be prudent.
Right now, we're going to stay focused on making sure that the family gets justice, and also making sure that the appropriate people get the appropriate information so that they can feel safe in our country.
Justin Trudeau says he wants to work with the Indian government, but New Delhi is denying the allegations, calling them, quote, absurd and motivated.
Sir, camera, sir. Sir.
Canada's High Commissioner in India, Cameron McKay, didn't respond to reporters as he entered the Indian Foreign Ministry today. He was given 5 days to leave the country amid protests against our Prime Minister in India. The decision coming after yesterday's announcement from Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly, saying India's top intel official in Ottawa, Pavan Kumar Ray, has been kicked out.
The allegations that a representative of a foreign government may have been involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen here in Canada on Canadian soil is not only troubling, but it is completely unacceptable.
The National Security and Intelligence Advisor to the Prime Minister, the Director of CSIS, have traveled on a number of occasions in recent weeks, also to India, to meet their counterparts in India, to confront the Indian intelligence agencies with these allegations.
The president of a Sikh Gurdwara in Surrey, BC, 45-year-old Hardeep Singh Nijjar, was gunned down in the city on June 18th. He was an outspoken supporter for the creation of an independent Sikh homeland called Khalistan, which advocates want to carve out of the Indian state of Punjab. Pro-Khalistani protests in Canada have drawn the ire of the Indian government, who released a statement saying their Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, spoke about his concerns with Trudeau during the G20, a summit where the frosty relations between Trudeau and Modi were made clear through body language. Trudeau saying yesterday he confronted Modi about the murder of Nijjar on the trip. India claims Nijjar, who's a Canadian citizen, has links to terrorism, something he denied. People at his Gurdwara say they are frustrated it took Singh's death for the feds to acknowledge Indian interference in Canada.
This type of display by India on its foreign interference and Hardeep's death and political assassination, it's not going to deter us from our goal. It's not going to strike the fear that they want within our community, that we will continue to raise our voice. We have the right to do so in this country.
For more on this, I'm joined now by Alistair Edgar from the Department of Political Science at Wilfrid Laurier University. Alistair, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
I understand relations with India have been deteriorating for several years before these bombshell allegations. Can you catch us up on the backstory?
Yeah, I mean, really, it goes back to the Air India bombing in 1985, the largest terrorist act against a Canadian target, if you will. And our difficulty in preventing that, our slow response to the investigations, with only one person having been held accountable for that, and others acquitted. And the government of India since then pressuring Canada to take what it says should be a firmer stance against the presence and the activities of Sikh nationalists in Canada. And we have according to the Indian government, not done what they think we ought to be doing. So it's really been since 1985 onwards that this has been a persistent story.
What's your assessment of how the Canadian government is handling these allegations?
I think part of it has to be understood. I mean, but there's two answers to that. One is assuming that CSIS provided him with credible evidence that this assassination of a Sikh nationalist, a Canadian citizen who is a Sikh, that this was an agent of the Indian government sent to target this person and kill him. Then I think his announcement of that in the House is certainly called for. I think at the same time, you have to understand this in the context of what we just went through and what the Liberal government just went through in its slow response to allegations of Chinese election interference in Canada, because there, after that started to trickle out through leaks, then the criticism of the government was, why didn't you respond sooner? What did you know? When did you know it? Why didn't you report it to the House? So in that sense, I think he's doing politically the right thing in that environment. Calling it out publicly like that is a politically difficult thing to do with the government of India. But at the same time, if a Canadian citizen has been killed at the agency of the government of India, then I think it's the right thing to do, call it out.
How do you see this playing out in the coming days and weeks?
I think there will be obviously demands in the House, political demands for more information, for more transparent information. There's a problem with that, of course. CSIS gathers its information in ways that, if you expose all of the information, may show where they're getting it from. So, spycraft issues, if you want to use that phrase. But there will be demands for more evidence to back up those allegations. And from there, assuming that this announcement would not have been made without people having looked at those allegations and saying, yes, this is really credible, then there may be more repercussions.
That's Alistair Edgar from the Department of Political Science at Wilfrid Laurier University. Alistair, thanks for joining us.
Happy to have the chance to talk about it. Thanks a lot.